This guard hasn't stepped on the court for the New York Knicks since their preseason opener in Abu Dhabi. And now, just hours before the start of the regular season, his availability for opening night remains uncertain. What was initially viewed as a minor setback has quietly turned into one of the team's most concerning storylines heading into the 2025-26 campaign. Leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates. As the Knicks prepare to face the Cleveland Cavaliers at Madison Square Garden, they may be doing so without Josh Hart, one of their most reliable and versatile players. According to head coach Mike Brown, in comments captured by SNY, both Hart and center Mitchell Robinson were held out of the team's final practice session before the opener. While Robinson's absence falls in line with New York's cautious load management plan, Hart's ongoing back issue is beginning to raise eyebrows across the organization and among fans. Robinson's situation is well documented. The veteran center has been plagued by recurring ankle injuries over the past 2 seasons, missing more than half of the 2024-25 campaign. The Knicks medical staff has made it clear that his minutes and workload will be closely monitored throughout the year to prevent another lengthy absence. But Hart's case is different. It's unexpected, lingering, and at a particularly inconvenient time for a team looking to start strong after last season's deep playoff run. Josh is a little different than Mitch, Coach Brown explained to reporters. We're still trying to figure out what's going on with his back. It's a tricky situation, and we have to be careful. We don't want to rush him into something that could get worse. We'll be patient and take it day by day. Hart's injury occurred during the team's first preseason matchup in Abu Dhabi earlier this month. He played only 7 minutes before leaving the game with what was later described as back tightness. The situation was compounded by a controversial ejection that cut his night short, leaving little opportunity for him to build rhythm or conditioning before the start of the season. Since then, the team has labeled him as day-to-day, but his prolonged inactivity has fueled speculation that the injury might be more serious than initially reported. SNY insider Ian Begley expressed his concern on his show The Putback, questioning whether the Knicks have been fully transparent about the severity of Hart's condition. I just assumed he'd be back by now, based on what I heard right after that back injury, Begley said. You have to wonder whether he's going to be available against Cleveland, and how bad that injury actually is. Because if it was as minor as it was described in the aftermath, he'd be practicing or at least scrimmaging by now. Begley didn't rule out the possibility that the Knicks could be playing some strategic mind games with the Cavaliers. Maybe this is a bit of gamesmanship, he added. Maybe the Knicks are keeping their cards close, trying to make the Cavs guess about Hart's status. But the fact that he's not scrimmaging, not taking contact, and hasn't been seen going through team drills, that's definitely concerning. Josh Hart's uncertain status comes at a pivotal time for New York. The Knicks enter this season with heightened expectations after reaching the Eastern Conference Finals last year, their best postseason run in more than a decade. With new additions like Karl-Anthony Towns and a retooled rotation under Mike Brown, the team hopes to build on that momentum. Hart's absence, however, could disrupt some of those early plans. Throughout the preseason, Brown and his staff experimented with various lineups, including a 2-big configuration featuring Robinson and Towns starting together. In those lineups, Hart was expected to take on a key bench role, bringing energy, rebounding, and perimeter defense, the same traits that made him indispensable during last year's playoff push. In his lone preseason appearance, he came off the bench but made an immediate impact before being forced to exit. Hart's versatility has long been one of New York's most valuable assets. Known for his relentless hustle, rebounding prowess, and ability to defend multiple positions, he has often been the glue that holds the team together when stars struggle or rotations tighten. Losing him, even temporarily, could significantly affect the team's depth and chemistry, especially on the defensive end. His absence also places additional pressure on other wings like Dante DiVincenzo and newcomer Packham Dadiot to fill the gap. Both players have shown flashes of promise, but neither brings the same combination of experience, leadership, and toughness that Hart provides. The Knicks coaching staff remains hopeful that the injury won't linger deep into the season, but back issues can be notoriously unpredictable. For a player like Hart, whose game relies heavily on movement, effort, and physicality, even minor discomfort could limit his effectiveness. As the countdown to opening night continues, fans and analysts alike are keeping a close eye on any updates from Knicks practice. Whether Hart suits up against Cleveland or is forced to watch from the sidelines, the situation serves as an early reminder of the challenges that await even the deepest and most disciplined teams. For now, Mike Brown and his squad must prepare for the possibility of starting the season short-handed, without one of their most dependable competitors, in a matchup that could set the tone for what's expected to be another intense and high-stakes season in New York. The question lingering over Madison Square Garden tonight is simple but significant. Will Josh Hart be ready when the lights come on, or will the Knicks have to open the year without their heartbeat on the floor? The New York Knicks are stepping into the 2025-26 NBA season carrying the heaviest weight of expectations the franchise has seen in decades, and their stars, Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, appear completely unfazed. For the first time in a generation, the Knicks enter a season not as an underdog story or a feel-good comeback tale, but as legitimate contenders. After reaching the Eastern Conference Finals last year, their first appearance in the NBA's Final Four since 2000, New York's ambitions have grown beyond playoff success. Now, it's about hanging a banner. And while the hype surrounding this new-look roster has reached a fever pitch, the team's two All-Stars have made one thing abundantly clear. They're not here to get distracted by headlines or outside chatter. "It doesn't matter to me. I don't really think about it," Brunson said matter-of-factly in a pre-game interview with SNY. "You hear everything these days. Social media, podcasts, TV, everyone has an opinion. But it's up to the person consuming it whether you believe it or not. I just don't. It means nothing to me. My focus is on practice, on film, on getting better every single day. I don't have time to think about what people say or what they expect from us." It's the kind of calm leadership that has made Brunson the heartbeat of this Knicks team. Since arriving in New York, he's reshaped the franchise's culture with a mix of toughness, humility, and relentless focus, qualities that have turned him into one of the league's most respected point guards. Towns, his newest co-star, shares that same perspective. "I'm not thinking about all that," he told SNY in a separate interview. "That's all just people looking into a crystal ball, trying to predict what's going to happen. We've got to earn it. We've got to do the work before we can even talk about finals or championships. Stay present, block out the noise, focus on what's in the locker room. That's what matters, getting better every day and putting ourselves in position to win." For both players, the message is clear. The Knicks won't let external expectations dictate their approach. And that's a crucial mindset for a franchise that spent the last half-century searching for consistency and identity. Despite their success last year, the Knicks remain haunted by a few painful facts. The team hasn't reached the NBA Finals since 1999, and their championship drought has officially stretched beyond 50 years, one of the longest in professional sports. Even so, this season feels different. The roster, the leadership, and the city's energy have aligned in a way that makes belief feel justified. Under head coach Mike Brown, the Knicks have embraced a system built on balance, defense, and selflessness. It's a culture that demands accountability, something both Brunson and Towns have bought into completely. The front office, led by Leon Rose and Scott Perry, doubled down on that vision during the offseason. In addition to their returning stars, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and Mitchell Robinson, the Knicks added two key reinforcements, veteran scorer Jordan Clarkson and French forward Gershon Yabusel. Those moves bolstered the team's depth, versatility, and offensive punch, giving Brown more lineup flexibility than any Knicks coach has had in years. And it's that depth that could make all the difference. When healthy, the Knicks can roll out multiple two-way lineups capable of matching up with any contender in the league. From Bridges' perimeter defense to Anunoby's physicality, from Brunson's clutch control to Towns' inside-out scoring, this is a team built to handle the modern NBA's toughest challenges. But before any championship dreams can materialize, the Knicks have to survive a brutal early-season stretch. They'll open at home against the Cleveland Cavaliers, followed by matchups against Boston, Miami, and Milwaukee, all recent playoff teams and potential Eastern Conference threats. It's a trial by fire, but one that Brunson and Towns believe will only strengthen their resolve. For fans, the energy surrounding Madison Square Garden hasn't felt this electric in years. Every seat, every chant, every camera flash reflects the city's cautious optimism. The feeling that maybe, just maybe, this is the year when the Knicks finally reclaim their place among basketball's elite. Yet, for all the noise outside, inside the locker room, the message remains simple. Focus on the fundamentals, trust the process, and keep improving. It's the same blueprint that got them to the conference finals, and the same mindset that could carry them even further. Jalen Brunson summed it up best. "We can't play for what people think. We play for us, for the guys in this locker room, for this organization, and for this city. That's all that matters." The 2025-26 Knicks are no longer the league's surprise story. They're the hunted, not the hunters. But for a group led by calm, confident stars who thrive under pressure, that's exactly where they want to be. As the lights go up at Madison Square Garden and the season tips off, one thing is certain. This team isn't running from expectations. They're ready to meet them, and maybe, finally, to rewrite history. The New York Knicks were standing on the edge of an NBA blockbuster. According to multiple reports, including ESPN's Brian Windhorst, the Knicks had a real chance, a legitimate path, to land Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Milwaukee Bucks. The deal was possible, but only under what Windhorst described as a certain set of circumstances. Those circumstances, it seems, never quite lined up. Speaking on First Take, Windhorst didn't mince words. The Knicks were in position to get Giannis, he said. And they didn't get him. For a team that has spent the last year reshaping itself into a contender, it's a revelation that turns heads. The idea that the Knicks could have brought the two-time MVP to Madison Square Garden, and didn't, immediately raises questions across the league. It wasn't just media speculation or wild rumor. Earlier this month, ESPN's Shams Charania reported that New York was the only team Antetokounmpo had serious interest in outside of Milwaukee. League sources confirmed that the Bucks picked up the Knicks' call when New York reached out to gauge the situation. For a brief stretch in August, there were real conversations, back-and-forth discussions between two franchises exploring what could have been one of the biggest trades in recent NBA history. But as quickly as the talks began, they fizzled. According to insiders, the negotiations never gained traction. The reality of Giannis's contract, and the financial web the Knicks are already entangled in, made the situation nearly impossible to navigate. Antetokounmpo is owed $54.1 million for the 2025-26 season. That figure alone makes a direct, one-for-one deal extremely difficult. The Knicks are currently hard-capped, meaning they can't exceed the league's spending limits even for a player of Giannis's caliber. A straight swap with Karl-Anthony Towns, who earns slightly less at $53.1 million, wouldn't even fit under NBA salary matching rules. And beyond the money, there's the question of fit. Would Milwaukee have even wanted Towns? The Bucks' frontcourt already features Miles Turner, their prized off-season signing, making a move for another big man less appealing. That left only one other route, a multiplayer package. But that path was just as problematic. To make the trade numbers work, the Knicks would likely have to send out several core pieces, perhaps some combination of Towns, Mikal Bridges, and OG Anunoby. While such a trade might deliver a superstar, it would also gut the team's balance and depth, turning the Knicks into a top-heavy roster built around one megastar and a handful of role players. That's a risk the Knicks front office, led by head coach Mike Brown, wasn't willing to take. Not yet, anyway. The franchise has already undergone massive transformation in a short span. In less than 12 months, the Knicks executed 3 major trades, landing Anunoby, Bridges, and Towns in an aggressive push to build a true Eastern Conference powerhouse. Towns' arrival, which came on October 2, 2024, gave him little time to adjust before the start of the regular season. The group's chemistry remains a work in progress, and team officials believe that maintaining continuity this year could be more valuable than shaking up the roster again. Still, the possibility of Giannis in New York remains one of those tantalizing what-if moments. Imagine the energy inside Madison Square Garden with Antetokounmpo wearing orange and blue, the reigning kings of New York basketball finally adding one of the game's global icons. For now, that dream stays hypothetical. But in the NBA, things can change fast. If Giannis eventually grows frustrated in Milwaukee and formally requests a trade, the market will explode. Every contender will line up to make an offer, and the Knicks, equipped with assets and star power, will be right back in the mix. Whether they'd have the same leverage or willingness to go all in is another story entirely. For now, New York's decision to stay patient seems justified. The Knicks are betting that this current core, Karl-Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Jalen Brunson, can grow together and push deeper into the playoffs. But the stakes are clear. If another postseason flameout hits, if the Knicks once again fall short of their championship aspirations, the front office will face pressure to act. And when that moment comes, the question won't just be about whether this roster is good enough. It'll be about whether the Knicks missed their best chance to land a generational superstar, one who, at least for a brief moment, might have been within their reach. Because according to Windhorst, the opportunity was there. The Knicks were in position. The phone was picked up. The conversation happened. And somewhere in that certain set of circumstances, the chance to bring Giannis Antetokounmpo to New York slipped quietly away.